Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles. I am delighted to be joined by Denise Dove with her amazing film Younger. We're actually really close in proximity, even though we're doing this virtual. So big hug, we're not far away. But for those that haven't seen Younger, let's take a look at a clip.
Hey, stranger.
You remember me?
Sure, I remember. Good whiskey. Great tipper.
Oh.
What you been up to?
Existential crisis and stuff.
Gonna make it work, huh?
Yeah, no.
It happens. Sometimes despite our best efforts. Let me finish setup, okay? First round's on me.
Deal.
Denise, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for bringing Younger to us. For those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis of your film.
Well, okay, so Younger is the story of a woman at a certain time in her life. And she is just fresh out of a relationship, and she goes to a neighborhood bar essentially to kind of decompress. But on her way there, she witnesses a man outside the bar holding the door open for a young woman. And when she approaches, he completely ignores her. And that sets off a chain reaction, and essentially she starts to imagine herself and think about her life, and she realizes that she's not the same woman that she used to be. And so Younger is just the journey of what she's going through at that time.
Well, I fell in love with your lead actor so much. We're going to talk about her, but you have the most amazing story about how this was inspired, where it was inspired by, and the whole full circle. So tell us a little bit about that, how it started.
Sure. So it started a few months before we actually shot, where I met my DP at that bar that we shot in. So I was actually, it was in K-Town, it's in K-Town, and they had the Korean festival, I think, and he was outside, like, just, tearing into some grilled corn, and I just, kind of laughed at him. And I went inside, and then we ended up sitting next to me because that's where he was seated at the bar. And so we just got to talking, and, you know how you meet people and you immediately feel at ease with them. He's one of those, he's like that. So I mean, back then I could actually talk to people. I've been in the house for so long with quarantine that I've forgotten how to communicate. It's because only person I talk to is my cat right now. So
oh, me too, yeah.
But back then I was actually pretty good at conversations. And so we spoke, and, we just felt really comfortable, and he said we should collab on something. I said, excellent. And, a few months later, I wrote something, and he said he loved it, and he said, let's do it. So
it's amazing. Well, yeah. It's funny, it's Denise and I's local bar, if you want to know the irony of the full circle. I miss their quesadillas and Parmesan fries. But this story was so lovely, and I really did fall for your lead actor. I thought she was amazing. Tell us a little about how you brought the cast together.
So I had to do, this is the first time I actually have done a narrative film. I'm from the television world and documentary world. So like my graduate thesis was a documentary film, Mothers and Daughters, and I had really not done a whole lot of work on narrative projects. So I, talked to a friend of mine who's an actress out here, and she, told me how to do a breakdown, and I went to Breakdown Express and put up, some sides, and, went through and had people do even before, because we shot in February. And so I started looking at actors back in late December, Januring. And I was looking at them virtually. So I had no idea that was going to be, the thing. But yeah, and I got really lucky because Sonia was in one of the last groups of people that I looked at, and I was like, there's something about her that I think she could really, bring some, heft to this. And because there's also like a lot of different transitions that happen in the piece, it's not just all heavy. It's, got a little bit of humor and a little bit of, sadness, but I felt like she could really carry that off. And then we did casting, and when we finally did get together and meet, she was just really open, and I knew I had my lead after that. So
no, it really, really was. Well, I always love when you can take us on a magical journey in a few minutes, and then to find out that you made this whole film in the same day. It's like, wow. So how was that process for you? Like, what was that experience like, and what were some of the challenges that you may have had making a film in a day?
I don't recommend it.
Actually, it was 9 hours, you said, wasn't it? 9 hours?
Right. 8 or 9 hours. Yeah, it was like a full, like a work day. But it's a lot. But fortunately, I went in with the plan. I knew, that what I wanted to try to capture and accomplish in that, time frame. And so Jonathan, my DP, and we got together a few times before at the bar and just talked about where we're going to set up lights and all this stuff. So we kind of already knew going in, like, we're going to rig all these lights and, do all this stuff. And so that when we changed setups, we didn't have to, move any lights really too much. So, but yeah, it was a lot. It was very, hectic, but again, that's all credit to the cast and crew, because they were, everybody was in like spin, I guess. And they just really wanted to, pull together and make something really great. So.
No, I mean, well, and that you did as well. And, I love this perspective of, a person that's just, come out of a relationship, at a certain point in her life where, she may be feeling different, may want to do different things. And I thought that whole journey was so great. Almost could have been a feature, if anything. How do you work with, how do you work with your actors? You say it's obviously not in the narrative world as often. Are you quite,
right.
Is it rehearsal? Is it improvisation? What's your kind of techniques that you do?
So I've been to a lot of different talks since I've been in LA, and one of them, Ava DuVernay talks about Judith Weston's book, Directing Actors, and it was an invaluable resource because she gives you tips on how to prep, how to do different activities or exercises with actors, and it's just a really, really great tool. So, and also too, when you're working with the talent that you feel at ease with, it's just a collaboration like you would, I worked several years as an editor, so it's just like you would collaborate with, your producer in the edit suite, and you just talk to them about, things that you want to accomplish and things like that. And then during the rehearsals that I did with Sonia and Janice, who was the younger woman, I actually use one of the tools that they use in that book, where you give them the choice to do the scene and make every wrong choice that they can think of. And at first, Sonia was like, oh, I don't want to do that because that might stick. But she went with it. She trusted me, which was great. And she did it. And it was so freeing. And they were just like, after that, it was like, mind blown, because it was just like, after that, it just freed them up. They're like, okay, this is great. We've already made every bad choice we can for how to deliver these lines. So anything after that's gravy. And that was just like a moment for me where I was like, oh my God, I love this.
Yeah. No, and it's so nice because there's so often in lives these tiny little moments where you may just end up having a conversation with someone, meeting a new friend, knowing something new, educating, learning, all those different things. And I think, considering the world we're in, particularly at the moment, just the value of that, and just how conversations observation can change you and what it can make you feel about yourself. I mean, was that kind of something that you just, I don't know, like it was a lovely highlight because I think we're all kind of reminiscing human interaction right now. You probably didn't realize how
Oh.
that was going to be like when you were making it, you know?
Right, exactly. You know, you go in with the plan and you hope for the best, and you know, kind of try to plan for the worst. But it was in that moment that I was like, okay, this is where this is so much more like fulfilling for me because, you know, you're working with someone in that moment, and if they're skilled, they bring, you know, everything with them to the table and are, you know, trust you. There's something that happens in that moment and you're like, oh wow, this is like a whole new, yeah, it's a whole new world. So I just loved it. It's just wonderful.
What's been the experience for you? I mean, I know it's an interesting festival circuit at the moment. What's the experience and reaction for you for you know, we're obviously very happy and grateful you're at New Filmmakers LA, but what's that experience been like for you?
Kind of crazy. It's because, okay, so here's the truth is that once you, for your first, you know, short, your first project out the gate, you know, immediately the first day after, you know, we wrapped and I'm like, all the gears broken down and I'm like walking back to my place and I'm like, oh man, there's so many things I would have done differently. Like, and so immediately I start thinking about all the ways that, you know, I could have done, you know, a much better job. And like, if we had more time, if we had more money and, you know, all these great things. And like, I would have spent like another month writing the script, you know, but had a very small window. So, you know, I think about all those things and then, you know, forget about it whenever everyone talks about, oh, wow, I really loved it. And I'm like, really? Because all I'm thinking about is all the ways in which I know that I can do a better job next time. So yeah, that's, but it's been super great. You know, I really, really appreciate being part of New Filmmakers LA and the program that you guys put me in. It was just perfect for me. Like, I just so grateful because it felt right. And you guys are so encouraging and supportive. And, you know, for me, this has been like the first festival in the ones that I've, you know, submitted to where I was like, oh, so this is the ticket, right? This is why they do it. And, you know, just meeting some of the filmmakers and seeing their work and, you know, how they go about their process has been just great for me. So.
Oh, well, we're grateful to have you. We can't do it without your films. So, you know, we need your films to make a great experience. But I'm so curious, what is next for you? What is next on the creative horizon for you?
Well, right now I'm submitting scripts and submitting for mentorship programs and things like that, because I really feel like I need a lot more set experience. So, you know, hoping some things will shake loose and open up for me in that way. But basically just really focusing on trying to write in this period. Like for a while, I was not able to, just because I've been so anxious and stressed about everything that's been going on. But, you know, probably about 4 months ago, it started to ease up a little bit, and I started to be like, okay, so this is the new normal, Denise. And yeah, you got to figure it out and work with it. So yes, I've just basically been trying to focus on writing and finding, you know, something in scripted in LA so that I can stay here and not have to relocate, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely, of course. I mean, you know, I love, obviously, you coming from a sort of documentary background, then moving into more of a narrative background. Like, I'm just for any filmmakers out there that kind of want to follow in these footsteps and learn from what you've learned thus far in your career. Is there any kind of advice that you go by or you share, or anything Ava has shared that you kind of connect with?
She shares a lot, man.
I can't even with her. She's a TED Talk all the time. But
right?
Yeah, she really is. But no, for you, like on your journey, like, is there anything that you go by that you could maybe share with our budding filmmakers out there?
I think that I would share that it's going to be difficult, but if it's something that you're really, uh, drawn to doing, like I am, it's like you just accept that and you just keep moving forward. I think for me is this. I've been here almost 4 years now, so it's been in this LA. And the thing for me has been that it's been super, super hard, and I've worked harder than I've worked on, anything else. And I've worked since I was 14, but it's fulfilling in such a different way that it doesn't, even when it's difficult, it's rewarding. So, yeah, I guess that would be the thing that I would share.
I love that, and thank you for sharing that. Well, just please keep get those scripts written. Let's try and get those into production when we get to open up again. And thank you for bringing Younger to us. It's such a special story, and I love that you left me in a world where I wanted more as well. Like it was almost like, no, I want more. Give me more of this. But it was very special. So thank you for making.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate it, Denise.
Thank you so much, Danny. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.